Welcome everybody. I'd like to let you in on a little secret. Today we are going to be painting with Vincent van Gogh.
Yay!
Now we've chosen the Starry Night as our painting of choice, and it's been a lot of fun with the other classes, so I hope that we can all enjoy it as well. We're going to start out with a little flyer, so if you would pass these out. I would like it, you know what, we don't need our portfolios today. We'll just put our names at the tops of these. One piece of paper to everyone, please. You're going to need a pencil, so let's set up with a pencil.
Pencil! I want it! I think Grace will be yeah, Anna took it. Why is he upside down on his head? Why is there a piece of oh my god, I don't think I can paint how Vincent van Gogh paints. What? He died at 31. But yeah, I know. He gives his girlfriend so she knows. Best friend.
I will read you back. You can follow along silently and or you can begin coloring Mr. Van Gogh's portrait. You notice that over here is one of a poster of his originals. That's where I was kind of going. All right. Vincent van Gogh, born in 1853, died in 1890. He was Dutch, which is why, even though he spent the last years of his life in Holland or in France, I put a windmill up to remind him of being Dutch. He was a post-impressionist painter whose intense emotional pictures are well known throughout the world. As I stated earlier, I have my coffee mug, Starry Night, I have my lanyard, Starry Night, I have a mouse pad, Starry Night. Vincent's pictures and paintings are timeless and are going to be in your lifetime throughout your life. Now, post-impressionism. He got to meet the impressionist painters when he visited France, Paris, to see his brother. And he really liked their intense colors. He was very dark at the time. He painted in grays and browns and black, but he kind of revolutionized the way he started painting. He took their ideas, and post means after. For the Super Bowl, there's going to be a big game, and then afterwards there's going to be a post-Super Bowl talk where they show you all the highlights. So he took all the highlights from the artists and kind of made his own style. Encouraged to become an art dealer like his brother, Theo, Van Gogh went to Paris where his brother introduced him to the Impressionists. Van Gogh loved art but was not a businessman. His brother was trying to set him up with a job, and unfortunately, along with other jobs that Vincent had done, he would tell people what they wanted to put up on their walls instead of having people choose what they wanted to, and it wasn't good for his brother's business. One of the first to use the expressive value of color, Van Gogh developed a highly personal style which featured the impasto technique of applying color in broad masses with vigorous brushstrokes. Completely opposite of how I've taught you to paint so far. when we paint together, we have our picture, we have our shapes, and we use the brush to sweep the paint where we want it to go. Vincent, impasto means thick, like squeezing the paint out of the tube like a toothpaste and having it layered. Now, if you look at this painting over here, you'll see that in this sunflower picture, this is enlarged. And what we have are all these large, thick swaths of paint. When Vincent's brush touched the canvas, it was no stopping him. He wasn't gonna quit until it was finished. That's why in the few years that he did consider himself an artist, he made over 900 paintings, which is pretty prolific. He wasn't always a painter. His style was the precursor of modern expressionism. Now that's abstract art, abstract thinkers. So what they did was, again, we remember how abstract is trying to convey a feeling. Well, without a person, place, or thing, Vincent used landscapes, portraits, and still lifes, and yet was still able to portray the inner feelings of the artist. Van Gogh painted many masterpieces during his short lifetime, including Starry Night. I have two of the sunflowers, one there and one over there. Irises, the blue, beautiful blue. The Postman Ruin, which is one of Vincent's dear friends throughout his life. The Postman, of course, was Vincent's friend strictly because Vincent and Theo were so diligent about sending cards to one another. It's the snail mail. So he would write almost kind of like, more than a correspondence, almost like a diary to his brother to explain all the things that were going on. And this gentleman got to deliver the post, and he got to know the postman and his family. And of course the self-portrait, which you may not be able to see, but I have several of Vincent's self-portraits down along the bottom, including the ones with his bandaged ear. He was beset with mental illness, and Van Gogh cut off his ear in an argument with another artist named Paul Gauguin. He voluntarily entered an asylum, and at the age 37, he shot himself, which is terribly unfortunate. Although his paintings sell today for more than $50 million, he died a very poor man, only selling one painting in his lifetime. Well, that's unfortunate but true that a lot of artists don't go viral until after their death. So, Vincent, today, what we want to do is get past the ear, get past the death, and we want to look at his beauty in his painting. So today we're going to be studying Starry Night together. While you're coloring though, I would like to read you another book. It's called The Yellow House.
You read this?
Nope.
No. Oh.
I'm gonna take it. Getting kind of warm. All right. One day in the spring of 1888, Vincent van Gogh put on a straw hat, gathered his art supplies, and went out to paint. Peach trees, irises, and buttercups bloomed in the orchards and meadows, but Vincent's favorite was always the sunflower. Anybody see that guy around?
No.
Looking for that guy in the picture. Anyway?
Oh, yeah, he's right there.
Oh, the
I can't remember I saw him. I think I just saw him.
At the end of the day, when Vincent finished painting, he would return to his little yellow house, because he had just recently moved to Arles, a town in the south of France. He had only a few friends, the postman and his family, a soldier, and Monsieur and Madame Jeanot, who owned the cafe down the street where Vincent would often have dinner. Days go by without me even speaking a word to anyone, Vincent wrote to his brother Theo, who was an art dealer in Paris. Like many artists, Vincent worked long hours by himself, but he missed the company of other people, especially other artists who he could discuss painting. He hoped that the warm, sunny Arles could attract fellow painters to come join him. Together, they would form kind of a family of artists, a studio of the South. In Paris, the year before, Vincent had met many painters. The ones that he admired the most were the Impressionists, fascinated with how natural light, time of day, and weather affected the way things looked. They inspired him to change the colors of his paintings from brown, black, and gray to much brighter shades of blue, pink, and green. The Impressionists also helped him learn to paint exactly what he saw with his own eyes. Boats on the river, the countryside, flowers, and people. But another artist, Paul Gauguin, particularly impressed Vincent because he was doing something entirely different. Paul painted pictures from his imagination, his feelings, fantasies, and dreams. Paul was far away in Brittany, the northern part of France. Perhaps Gauguin will come south, Vincent wrote his brother. Theo thought that was a good idea. The two artists could spend a year together in Arles and work side by side. Theo sent Paul a letter, inviting him to join Vincent in the little yellow house. Paul accepted the invitation. When Vincent learned that Paul had agreed to come, he was so excited that he began to get everything ready in the yellow house. He installed gas lamps so they could paint inside at night, and he bought a bed for the guest room. Now, I hope to leave with Gauguin in a studio of our very own, Vincent wrote to Theo. I want to make decorations, nothing but flowers. So Vincent made bright new pictures of sunflowers to hang in the guest room. He also painted pictures of the little park across the street and hung those up too. On October 23rd, 1888, Paul arrived in Arles. Vincent was delighted. The weather was perfect, so the two artists set out to paint right away. Something I can help you with, Olivia? Like Vincent, Paul quickly realized that the sun was hotter and brighter in the south than it was in Paris or Brittany. The colors of the sky, the buildings, and the flowers glowed vividly. Even the people looked different. Thrilled at what they saw, Vincent and Paul inspired to paint. But each man went about it in his own way. Although Vincent and Paul shared their supplies, paints, canvases, they used them differently. Vincent would load his brush with lots of paint and put it on the canvas with dots and dashes. My brush stroke has no system at all, he once wrote to an artist friend. I hit the canvas with irregular touches of the brush, which I leave them as they are. Thick swirls of strong color expressed his feelings, his love of nature, and joy in painting. Paul painted more slowly than Vincent. He loved nature too, but he would wait and dream about what he saw before he started to make a picture. He did not squeeze the paint straight out of the tubes onto the canvas like Vincent sometimes did. Instead, Paul blended the paint on his palette, making new colors that matched his dreams. He spread the paint smoothly in careful shapes. There we go. Vincent and Paul spent many evenings discussing the best way to paint. Often their discussions developed into quarrels. But they did agree that they could learn from each other. Paul told Vincent to try painting something he saw in his imagination, not in real life. Vincent imagined his mother and sister in a garden back in Holland. He picked colors he thought expressed their personalities. He used small dots to paint. The painting was an experiment for him. He worked on it at home in the cold November weather, making painting outdoors was unpleasant. Living and working together turned out to be difficult for the two artists. They clashed in many ways. Vincent was messy and careless. Paul was neat and organized. Vincent talked all the time. Paul stayed quiet. Vincent tried to please his roommate, but often his attempts backfired. Paul usually did the cooking, but once in a while, Vincent tried to make a meal such as soup. I have no idea what mixtures he uses, they seemed like those of the colors on his canvases. We could never eat what he fixed, Paul remembered. In two pictures of chairs, Vincent expressed their differences. Vincent's chair sits on a tile floor in front of a box of onions. His chair is made of plain yellow wood. His pipe and tobacco rest on the seat. Paul's armchair, fancier, with a curved back and green fabric seat. It holds 2 books and a candle. Vincent saw himself as a simple man with simple tastes, but he viewed Paul as a thinker who liked nice things. While Paul sometimes found Vincent irritating, he appreciated how hard Vincent worked and how much he loved nature. He expressed his admiration in a portrait that he made of Vincent painting sunflowers, which he gave to Theo as a gift. By December, however, Paul wrote to Theo that he wanted to return to Paris. Vincent guessed how he felt. It greatly upset him. The last 2 weeks of the year were cold and terribly windy. The two artists were cooped up together in the yellow house. One night, they got in a fight. Vincent became very angry and almost attacked Paul. Instead, he hurt himself by cutting off part of his own ear. Vincent was taken to the hospital, and a frightened Paul quickly left Arles. Although they never met face to face, Vincent and Paul exchanged letters. Face to face again. They still admired each other's art, and they got along much better as pen pals than roommates. Vincent told Paul to keep the sunflower paintings he had made for him. Paul gave Vincent his drawing of Madame Junot, and Vincent did a painting based on it. When Paul saw the painting, he wrote to Vincent, "I like it much better than my drawing." Through their letters, Vincent and Paul continued to encourage each other. The pictures made during the 2 months they lived together in the yellow house are some of the most important and beautiful of their careers. Working side by side, the artists inspired and challenged each other. Today, the paintings still glow with their emotion and energy. Now let's see where your emotion and energy ended up. Hold up your pictures of self-portrait, Vincent van Gogh. Let's see them.
This is supposed to be like mine.
I like it. Oh, you're even putting the sunflowers behind it. Excellent. All right, ladies and gentlemen, put your name on the top of those. Send those to the ends of the table where the portfolios usually go, and we can start making our starry night together. Now, I'm going to be using a marker so you can see better. You, of course, have pencils.
Pencil.
All right, first things first. A border. A border. So watch how I do this. If you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand. But if it's something that you can answer just by looking at the example, why don't we look at the pictures first. All right. I'm making a border. Notice it's only an inch or a little bit over an inch. We're going around the outside. We're going to paint this in metallic paint later. Need a pencil. Pencil sharpeners under the clock. Find the clock. Welcome to the art room. All right, here we go. Now sit down, ladies. Here we go. Did you do your border yet? All right, now turn it over and write your name and secret code on that. Yep. LA, circle it. What are you doing? No, you don't. We're going to be painting over all of our lines. Sorry?
Are we still supposed to?
Yeah. I want people to see the painting come to life. All right, now that we have that, what I want you to see here, Vincent was very happy to go out with his easel and supplies. And this is a pretty remarkable one because he did it at night. So here's this guy that everybody thinks is a little funny. He's taking a walk out to a hill that overlooks the town. And to see at night, he took candles and melted them and stuck them onto his hat so he could paint. Now, this may be why the tree, the cypress tree, looks a little like a flame. You know, it's just going on in his head. You can see this from a different point of perspective. Here's that same tree that he liked on the opposite side. Okay, so let's begin there. Notice that the tree is not in the very corner, but it's off to the side, and it is not down the middle. So, yours does not have to be exact. You do not need to erase anything. It's your picture. If you don't want a cypress tree in there, go ahead and make a lollipop tree. It's your picture. Okay? But I'm going to be working on it like this. So it comes up. How many times do I need to say it? Okay, notice it does come close to touching the top. Now when I look at this, it reminds me of a river flowing. The way that his brush strokes are so abundantly and just moving along. These actually look like waves crashing onto the shore. Okay, now we're going to put in the horizon line, which is a little wavy line that we're going to put across here. You can go right through the tree if you want to. Now know this. This is a nighttime. We're here to show off the sky. So if you put your horizon line all the way up to the top, you're going to have this tiny little stripe of sky to try to fit everything in. So I'm going down here. And remember again, we're going to be painting this differently than I taught you before. We're going to be using dots and dashes. So we're going to be going, these lines are just to get us to know where we're at. We're going to be painting over everything. All right, now I'm going to take it, I'm going to put in the hills behind. This one actually goes to about halfway. So if you want to take, you put a little dot halfway up. Make sure you get to that. Now this beautiful band of yellow coming across the background. Just going to make a line going up. The town, you can see the church and the people are right there on the center where the poster's been creased. So if I go here in the center, and I'm going to put a few boxes down below. You do not need to detail these. I had one student who put a flower box and a front door and a window, and I'm like, one paint stroke is going to cover all of that. So let's just put a couple other boxes down there to say this is a town. And you can put in more later. Just honestly, we don't need to put any perspective in these houses. You can add more later if you wish. Should have more than three. If you had two, people could go, oh, it's just an old farm, and four's gonna make it look more like a town. Okay, now, we're gonna go over to the moon. Big, beautiful moon. I mean, this moon looks honestly like a sun. It's so bright. So up in this corner, we're gonna make a nice big circle. Doesn't matter. It's how you paint it. It's not how you draw, it's how you paint it. And then, inside the moon, let's make another circle. And I have my crescent. Let's put a dot right smack dab in the middle of the paper. I hear people erasing, no need to erase. Not when we're painting. Alright, so when we see this wave of color coming through the sky, it ends almost perfectly in the middle. So it's just an S. So I see the S. And then another S down below here comes around, and this one has a squiggle at the end. Now, if you feel like putting in more squiggles and things later when we're painting, feel free. The stars of the starry night. We have one over here, and I'm gonna make mine look like little eyeballs. Then we go up to the top corner over here. I'm gonna go across from the tree, which is the biggest, brightest star. It's almost the size of the moon. No. Just put it somewhere else. Alright, then we got a little one up here by the wave. This one makes it look like a street lamp, but it's not. Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna go up to the top here and then 3 across the top. And then these other 2 hanging off to the side. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you something else. It's called the rule of thirds. Don't do this to your picture. If I take and I block this off, into 9 sections, it's called the rule of thirds. It's an art term. What an artist wants to do is to make sure that no 2 sections resemble itself. That makes it fun for the person looking at it. If I had this block looking like this block, it's going to dull my senses when I look at it and not want me to like it as much. It's not always that simple, but if you notice, Vincent really did a good job of making sure that all of these sections had something going on for itself. All right, now, time to get set up for painting. Here's your jobs. Water dishes, 2 of them. Paint brushes, a medium and a large for everybody at the table. Paper towels for everyone. And the paint trays, right here.
All the brushes. I know your paper towels. I'm really bad at paper towels. I'll get the paint brush. Hey!
2 regular paint trays. 2 regular paint trays and 1 metallic. The metallic paint trays are the ones with tape on the outside. Please be careful because a lot of the other students, they're in a haste to get out of here and they don't put the caps on. I actually saw somebody carrying the paints back to the here, upside down on their head. I thought, that's gonna be an interesting little stain. So, 2 of these, 1 of those, school is here. Pink shirts are in the back as well. All right, let's do this.
All the brushes. I'm the brushes too.
Why don't you pause?
How do you pause?
How do you